Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome into the Anthony Gargano Show, and I am not the cuz. I am Jamie Lynch. Happy Friday to all out there. And the Anthony Gargano Show, first portion of the show, is brought to you by our friends at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Anthony Gargano Show is presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out TrueMark.com/PHLY or stop into one of their 24 area locations to learn more about the credit union difference at TrueMark Financial today. It's Friday. To all you Monday through Friday week long warriors, we've reached the top of the mountain here. It is Friday. It is a great day. A little bit chilly out there this morning, but shaping up to be a lovely day as the Phillies are coming back home. The NBA Finals are set. The NHL playoffs are pretty damn good. And we have a lot to get to, but none more on my mind this morning than your Philadelphia Eagles. OTAs were open to the media yesterday. Today is the last day of OTAs, but I believe yesterday was the day that the media was allowed in. And we're going to be joined by Zach Berman at 10 a.m. to talk about everything that happened yesterday. And I got to be honest, I saw Nolan Smith all swole up and jacked up, and I got a little bit excited. And then I saw Jordan Davis down 25 pounds. Got a little bit excited. And then I heard about Isaiah Rodgers dominating play yesterday and got even more excited. And then I remembered, oh, yeah, Saquon Barkley, that fella, he's on our team. And the Eagles' itch is there. Now, it's going to go away for the next 6 or 7 weeks. But for this week, it's back. I think the bad taste is out of my mouth personally from last year and the way that ended, which was an absolute disaster. But it's back. I'm full on excited for training camp. I think there's, for the first time in a couple years, a couple battles that should be pretty interesting, including the cornerback battle, the right guard battle. Who the hell is going to be this team's wide receiver 3? We'll get into all those and more. Zach Bond all of a sudden has me quasi excited. Maybe we have a legitimate linebacker in here again. We'll find out a lot of these answers come August. But for the first time since the season ended, the draft was exciting. Don't get me wrong. I loved getting Mitchell and DeJean. I forget the official pronunciation. Zach will correct us on that because everybody says DeJean, but I believe it's something else. I was excited that night, but I still wasn't kind of really feeling it. And then seeing the team around town doing the community service this week, I think the vibes are back. You know, you saw A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. If you saw the video, they were chasing each other around with paint at the playground project that they were working on. And it seems good. It seems healthy. Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore are here. Not going to lie. That excites me a little bit compared to the disaster that we had last year. Brian Johnson, was he a reason the offense kind of was pointing some fingers there at the end? Whatever the hell they did with D coordinator last year, poor Sean Desai, and then Matt Patricia, a complete undermining. And I think you lost the locker room there. Looking back on it now in a revisionist kind of way. Moving on from Hassan Reddick and the rumors that came out that he was chasing individual stats. Who the hell knows? But the Eagles theoretically addressed a lot of the Achilles heels issues that ended last year. And I was surprised yesterday to be reading NFL.com and come across a story that the Eagles are the second most improved team in the National Football League behind the Chicago Bears. Now, this is just one guy's opinion on NFL.com, and I actually don't have his name in front of me. I'll find that. I wonder. I think they're improved. I believe they're improved. To say they're one of the most improved teams in football, I want to believe that. I think they addressed the secondary, which was a major issue last year. But the wide receiver 3 issue does give me a little bit of concern. How's Cam Jurgens going to do replacing Jason Kelce? That is look, Cam Jurgens showed some signs of being the real deal. He also had some underwhelming play at time. Now he's sliding over to a spot that you could just chalk up for the Eagles the last 14 years of being a guaranteed, captain of your line, Pro Bowl type of play every single year, and a guy that would make his guards better, because you talk to teammates of Jason Kelce, and they say there's no smarter man on the field than him and what he recognizes. So, Cam Jurgens has to step into that. How's he going to do? Who's going to win the right guard position? Hassan Reddick, say what you want. That's a big loss. Chasing individual stats or not, Bryce Huff, he hasn't played over 51% of the snaps in his career yet. How is he going to elevate to his new role? Josh Sweat is changing numbers. Can he elevate to the point that, he showed you a couple years ago? And that's what's popping off this morning. Brought to you by our friends at Olipop. Olipop is delicious. I had a watermelon lime yesterday. We're popping off here this morning with Olipop. Find your favorite Olipop flavor at your nearest Wawa. The Eagles OTAs, and this is going to be it. This is our little crumb that we get for the next 6-7 weeks until camp starts up. We'll talk to Zach also about Tom Pelissero's report that the league, the NFL, might be moving away from OTAs. I think it's kind of dumb because if you think about it, like as a kid, would you rather do 1 week of school towards the end of the year, or would you rather come back 2 weeks early to start the next year? You'd rather get that week out of the way at the end of the year rather than come back early, right? It's the same thing for these guys. Now you're cutting your summer short with your family to come back even earlier to camp to do these OTAs. So I think, like, from the players' standpoint, I guess they want it. This is something they're going to fight for, I'm sure. But I don't know. I'd rather do the week in, like, May, June, get it over with, then go on summer break, and then come back at a normal time. And I also think from a learning standpoint, it's good to kind of slow build the learn, especially for these rookies and new guys in the system, to get a little snippet early and then kind of go home, replay it in your mind, study your playbook, and kind of slow learn the curve instead of getting everything thrown at you 6 weeks before the season starts or whatever it is. So all that is interesting. The OTAs, it just seems like a unnecessary move, but if the players want it, they know more than I do. The battle in the secondary, I think, is going to be really exciting come training camp. And again, we'll talk with Zach at 10 o'clock a little bit more about this. But Quinyon Mitchell, it appears, is not just going to be given the starting job. It appears Isaiah Rodgers is going to have a chance to battle this out for him. Now, Mitchell is a rookie, so you don't necessarily expect him in there day one of OTAs. Isaiah Rodgers has been given the cornerback 2 spot across from Slay. Some of the analytics on him during his final year in Indy before he had to take off 512 days, he was doing really well. He was matching up well, covering well, defending passes well. Like, he was kind of an up-and-coming player, and, it was a really smart move by Howie Roseman to kind of stash him aside and take a shot on a guy with upside. So Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Isaiah Rodgers, that's going to be a fun battle. DeJean versus Maddox should be a fun battle for the slot cornerback position. And then you have the safety position, which is also strengthened with CJ GJ coming back on top of Ed Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown. So all of a sudden, some of the heels or the Achilles heels you repaired from last year, but you also are missing, Hassan Reddick, which is a big loss. You're missing a Jason Kelce. You're missing a Fletcher Cox. So there are some things where in areas you need guys to step up in, but you can probably go through all 32 teams in the NFL and say the same thing about those. But all in all, a really good offseason. A really exciting season is ahead of us. And the Eagles OTAs are here, and I got the full-on football itch yesterday. Now, JP, do you have the football itch? Are you feeling it a little bit for OTAs? Because this is it. It's a desert wasteland ahead of us for the next 2 months.
That's right. Well, first off, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
It's good morning. Listen, I definitely didn't have the football itch until that West Coast trip with the Phils, because I was all giddy up with the Phils because they had us all happy. It was fun to watch. But now, listen, you had some OTAs here. You hear Zach Berman talking as well. And so I'm excited for it as well. Listen, after the season you had with the Birds, like, there's a lot left to be desired as a fan because, dude, the way that season ended
was terrible.
Was terrible, right? So you look into this next season, like, dude, there's just some exciting things, especially with this offense, like, how can you not be excited seeing Jalen with Saquon, AJ, and Devontae, Dallas Goedert too?
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun things, but like this defense truly intrigues me. Like you mentioned some of the different battles, obviously the secondary. Curious to see what the linebacker is going to look like, but more importantly, I'm curious what the rotation of the D-line is going to look like. I feel like Bryce Huff could be one of those like gems that Howie just picked up because there's been some questions like he has. He showed some flashes of a dominant pass rusher, but I'm intrigued what the defense is going to look like overall because there are some more question marks on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, totally. When you lose a Hassan Reddick, you can't just go that the Eagles D-line got better, replacing him with Bryce Huff because Hassan Reddick was on the field, 73, 75% of the snaps?
You lost the leadership of Fletcher Cox as well.
That's a big one, too. I mean, you still have Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham, but you lost Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox, which were two of those veteran stalwarts of the locker room that kept everybody's head on straight. Now Lane and BG are probably the two remaining, and then you probably have guys like Slay, who was a captain last year. I loved his comments last week when he said, "Yeah, I'm here to help the young guys."
That was big.
Yeah, my playing days aren't long anymore. I got to make sure these guys are ready to eat, and I'll get out of their way when they're ready. But I'm going to help them get ready. And I was like, "Damn, that's really good leadership."
Yeah. It's admirable stuff.
Yeah, it is. So it feels like they have all the right guys in place to kind of cleanse the palate of last year because that sucked. And I heard on sports radio this morning, actually, a pretty good point. Like, it was actually from a caller, believe it or not, on my ride in.
Nice.
He kind of said, look at Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. They started out great, and when things went south is when they both started falling off. And now you have Fletcher Cox gone, who actually counterbalanced them because he surged at the end of the year, had a really good, our coworker, our pal, Fletch. He had a really good end of the year. Kind of started slow, whereas those guys started fast, ended slow. There might be a correlation there because remember when the Eagles just started getting gashed defensively by the other team's run?
Oh, my God.
Those two are critically important this year with no Fletcher now because Fletcher you could count on and Jason Kelce you could count on. Those are underrated, I think, big-time replacement plans that the Eagles have here.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, that's another question mark we're going to be seeing here, too, is that leadership. Who's going to step up as being one of those leaders, especially on the defensive side of the ball? Like, you do have Darius Slay there, which is great, right? Veteran guy. You just heard what Jamie said, too, about his leadership development as well. But that's going to be something to look an eye for because, listen, you have a lot of young talent here with a lot of promise. But like you said, at the end of last year, a lot of these guys didn't show up. And one player I'm going to keep an eye out for, too, James, is going to be Milton Williams. I've been super high on Milton Williams over the past couple seasons. And listen, Fletcher Cox, you're not taking any snaps away from Fletcher Cox as he's there. He's Fletcher Cox, right? But now that there are some snaps that are being up for grabs, I'm curious to see how Milton Williams will take on to that role because, listen, you do have Jordan Davis, you have Jalen Carter, but we all know the motor concerns that we've had in the past with them. So I look for a guy like Milton Williams kind of step up big. He's very versatile as well.
Yeah, he's shown a lot of flashes over the years, Milton has, in his limited role, and he has an opportunity. Like, there's a lot of opportunity up for grabs.
For sure.
Which I think makes this the most, like, you went into training camp last year, and it was kind of like this team was turnkey ready. Like, nobody was really battling for any positions. And now you look at it and you go, you got some good stuff happening in the secondary.
Right.
D-line, you need people to step up. And you love seeing Jordan Davis down 25 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Says he got one with nature this offseason.
Okay.
And he
started
started
a little bit.
Yeah, he started backpacking more. And he said on his off days, he wasn't inactive. Like in years past, he would, play some video games, check out the playbook, lounge. And he was like, now I'm more active even on my off days. That's important. So
we'll see him in Wissahickon then.
Yeah. So hopefully, the lifestyle change translates to better play because Jordan Davis needs to step up for this team. They're counting on him. Another guy is Nolan Smith. We talk about the DN position. Clearly, when you just move on from Hassan Reddick, you have plans of Nolan Smith contributing a lot this year. And my man looked pretty jacked up yesterday. With the glasses, with the big rim glasses. He looked jacked up.
Did he get you fired up in the press conference, man?
He's really good in front of a microphone.
I want to do this for
see
Philly.
It on the field. I need to see it on the field.
I want to do this for the city. Yeah, you're right. He has to do it on the field, but that definitely got us fired up.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, some of these guys, there's a lot of opportunities on this team while being, contenders. I saw another NFL article that had one of the analysts, and I forget who because I read too much, had Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl repeat.
Oh, man.
So the expectation is out there, that the Eagles should be pretty good. And
well, VG put up the graphic that NBC Philly put up there from Pro Football Focus. So we had the third most talented team.
Yeah,
so
third most.
The hype is going to be there all season.
So even you lose two Hall of Fame players in Cox and Kelsey. You lose a Hassan Reddick who's been an All-Pro player, and somehow the Eagles might be better. I mean, you need to see it on the field, obviously. And I watched a little bit of Zach and Bo's show yesterday, coming fresh off the practice. Apparently, so let's not all lose our minds here. Apparently, the quarterbacks had a bad day. Yeah. But to Zach and Bo's point, you don't know if they're working on something that day. You don't know if the defense is told to jump a couple routes. You don't know what they're actually coaching up. But apparently, no quarterback had a good day yesterday. Unfortunately, Kenny Dollhands Pickett is in that group. Is in that group as well. So nothing to freak out about. But Jalen Hurts Guy's got some big boy pressure on him this year because, to your point, this is pretty much like a Pro Bowl caliber offense.
It's stacked, man.
Stacked. Dallas Goedert, you'd like to see more of. He's kind of been like that potential bust out guy. But Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, quarterbacks around the league would drool for that.
I think that's why a lot of people are high on this team because of just the skill players that surround around Jalen Hurts. And listen, I think a lot of people do believe Kellen Moore will be the guy that fixes this offense because last year was inept, right? And so, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun seeing Jalen Hurts slinging the ball around with some of these weapons that he does have. And I love this city. I just absolutely love the passion we have for the sport. The fact that we can start freaking out a little bit over some tweets from a practice is just freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, I found myself. I was drinking the Kool-Aid yesterday. What's going on? Nolan Smith looks huge. Jordan Davis lost weight. Vic Fangio's wearing Kelly Green hoodies.
That's exciting, man.
But I think Fangio and Moore is a really big reason to get excited.
Well, also, did you see what's his name? Austin Davis, I believe was his name. Saquon Davis. The product of South Carolina State, his little route running went viral on Twitter yesterday.
No, I did not catch that.
Dude, I'll have to put it up here.
So you look like a little Darren Sproles out there or something?
No. Maybe the complete.
Oh, this was the Jazz hands route. Yeah, I saw this one. Yeah.
Poor kid just got, look, the Eagles' new wide receiver is zesty. I like that word, by the way, zesty.
So I saw somebody call that the Jazz hands route. I had a good chortle over that one. But yeah, I mean, it's OTAs. At the end of the day, it's just kind of the first installment of Kellen Moore's.
It's your hors d'oeuvres of the before you get into some.
It's for people to learn, and you don't take too much out on the field, but you do kind of always, a smell test, an eye test, whatever. You want to see that Quinyon Mitchell looks like he belongs, like he has the. What did they call him? One of his scouting reports was oily hips.
Oh my God, oily hips,
which is a very good thing. You want your hips to be oily out there, well lubricated and fluid. So I always love the new scouting terms that take off every year. So oily hips, Quinyon Mitchell.
Hips. I'm looking at that.
Yeah. So you just want to see these guys look like they belong, and there's no better test for a Cooper DeJean and a Quinyon Mitchell than going up against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith every day. Steel sharpens steel, whatever you want to say. That's awesome for those two.
Do you have any expectations for Quinyon Mitchell this year?
I expect him to be the QB2.
I agree.
CB2.
That's where my mind was at. I want to take that role.
I don't think you'd take him in the first round unless you plan on him drafting, but I think having Isaiah Rodgers here is going to be really good. This job isn't yours, kid. You got to go beat out a vet right now.
That's going to be the most intense battle this camp, man.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, right guard's probably Tyler Steen, but Mitchell Rodgers could be an awesome battle. And that's the old coaches. It's a good problem to have. The Phillies have a lot of good problems right now.
Yeah,
I think the Eagles secondary all of a sudden has a bunch of good problems to figure out. So somebody's going to step up here and take it, and it's going to be pretty awesome.
Steen gave a great quote as well. He was like, the job. They were asking, is a job for you to lose? And he's like, no, the job is for me to earn.
Yeah,
and I love him talking like that.
Yeah,
it is his, but he obviously has to go out there and earn it because during some of the owners meeting, Nick Sirianni was there. He didn't seem too enthused that he was going to be the guard for the future because if he was confident that was his guard future, he'd be like, Tyler Steen, I have no concerns at that position. So Tyler Steen still has to prove.
Yeah, there's a reason you're bringing a Matt Hennessy,
For sure.
a veteran, type, not only for depth but for camp battles.
We all silly like the mayor.